Good evening, everyone. The time is 5 o'clock. It's August 23rd, 2022. It's time for our monthly meeting of the Board of Directors for the Glasgow Electric Plant Board. At this time, I'll call the meeting to order. The first item is the approval of this evening's agenda. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion.
I have a motion by Witcher,
Second.
second by Jones. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say no. Motion passes. Item 2 is the minutes of the previous meeting. Everybody's probably had a chance to look these over. I think everything looks in order. Did anybody see anything, any discrepancies or anything? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, motion by Stevens,
Second.
second by Jones. If there's no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say no. Motion passes. Number 3 is consider upgrades to the Donnelly substation relaying.
Yeah, so we put a bid package together. Todd and Amy primarily put the package together, and we received 3 bids back on this project. We opened them last Friday, August 19th. The Groves Electrical Services provided the lowest bid at $65,455, and our recommendation would be to accept that bid. But prior to doing that, I've asked Todd to go through what the project is and give the board an opportunity to ask questions. So with that, I'll turn it over to Todd.
Hello. I gave you a picture document there. Just to kind of show you in general, one of the main reasons we want to focus on this Donnelly substation is the top 2 pictures there are the breakers that are at that substation outside. Right now, we have to be standing at those breakers to close them in or operate them, which exposes our guys to safety concerns. The pictures below that are the relays according of what are basically tripping those breakers when they see a fault.
Right, Todd, these breakers, are they the 69?
Oh, I'm sorry. The one on the left, there's 2 of. Those are at they're 15 kV breakers. They're for distribution breakers outside of it, leaving the substation. And then the one on the right is a 69 kV breaker that actually protects the transformer in the bus. So if the 69 goes out, obviously the other ones don't work. The relay in the middle on the left is the relay for the 15 kV breaker, one of the distribution breakers. There's 2 of them there on site. And so there's 2 bays of relays, and there's 2 breakers there. And then the relay protection for the 69, there's all 6 of those relay boxes on the middle, on the right-hand side for that protection. So what we would propose that we do in order to provide our safety at those, so we don't have to stand out there at those breakers, is purchase boxes or the relays on the bottom pictures. On one on the left would replace the left-hand side, the middle left-hand side, and then there'll be a similar setup on the bottom right to replace those 7 relays there. And then there, it's harder to see on the bottom right, but it's similar to the left or bottom left. There's a green button and a red button, little round button on the right hand side of that picture on the left, and that's the trip close control, and that's what we would gain from doing this project.
So the breakers will be opened and closed inside the substation building?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What is the vintage again of the relay that's there? What is the age of those relays?
That substation was put together in 1989.
Okay.
Those relays were old at that time when they put them in. So They're good relays. They've stood the test. There's probably a lot of utilities that have those, but basically, we still need control in there, and the easiest way to do it is just to change the whole thing into a modern day relay
Yeah.
of those blue boxes here on the bottom, and go ahead and have control in there. And this will actually, the bottom right-hand picture is from our East Glasgow substation. That's our newest substation over on the east side. And then the one on the left is from Lexington Drive substation. That was basically upgraded years ago, but it'll be the same similar type setup.
So we have similar relays already on our system that we're proposing to put in
Correct.
at Donnelly.
It'll make it easier for linemen or whoever would have to go in. Hey, this looks just like where you were at. It's simple operation.
So safety concern too.
That would be the number one, yes.
Are we able to get any more information back through SCADA with these new relays than we can with the
Yes.
old?
Yes, it'll actually replace a lot of other telemetry gear that we have there now, sort of outdated as well. We should be able to get, actually we'll be able to tunnel through and get reports as far as exactly what the current was doing from each one of these relays to diagnose what might have caused the issue.
Okay. Any other questions?
I guess my question to you, Todd, is like, how did we prioritize this substation over, say, maybe an older one, like maybe Front Street, which is right in the center of town?
I'll go ahead.
I was just kind of saying, how did we pick this Donnelly substation that needed upgrades?
It's the only substation that I know of left that we cannot control those breakers from inside of a building. And that's why we picked Donnelly. Front, you can control inside safe
Okay.
building. So that's all. Metal clad substations are a different beast, like Cleveland, Industrial, and Lexington. It's all internal, but you have more protection between. You got two doors than you do with just one door protection in there. So, and you can actually control those from another computer inside of like Lexington Drive.
And another item to just point out with the Donnelly substations, it serves the old Donnelly building, which is now owned by CATL, but it also serves a lot of our industrial load and some residential load on that side of town. So that this substation isn't just serving the old Donnelly building. You know, it's also, we have distribution that is serving other industrial customers and residential. So it's a substation on our system that's as important as any other, I guess.
Okay.
How come there's so much difference in the bids?
Well,
Is this,
what you're seeing in that difference is exactly why we go out for bids now. What's interesting is that the company we approached originally still came in with the best price, but one of the main pieces of my job is approving the purchase orders for the entire company. And I see it all the time. It's not this extreme in terms of the size of the dollar amounts, but the variety between the low bid and the high bid on even a $3 item that we're buying 100 of or something like that. You see it all the time. This big percentage gap between bids. I don't know why it's so extreme, but yeah.
And do you guys have experience with Groves? I mean, are you confident in what Groves can do?
We've used Groves for our construction, and Groves was actually used when we built the Dana substation. So
Okay.
they actually did work inside of there.
So you guys have experience with them and
Yeah,
confident
we've
in what
never
they can-
used them to, upgrade a relaying before, but I have confidence in the organization.
Yeah. And I guess this will all be hot work, right?
No, we'll isolate, we'll turn the
This will be-
substation off while they
Okay.
do the upgrades.
Okay.
And we'll be there as watching them, make
Yeah.
sure they, that we understand what they're doing.
no shortcuts?
Yeah.
Yeah, no shortcuts, yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, so again, our recommendation is to accept the Groves bid to do this project, and
Okay.
unless there's any other questions.
Is there any other questions for Todd or Dave? Anybody? Okay. Okay, we'll have to trust the experts on this, and if it's a safety issue, I think would be a good idea. But anyway, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the Donnelly Substation Relaying Project for $65,455, utilizing Groves Electrical Services.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Witcher.
I second that motion.
We have a second by Jones. All right, any discussion or questions? All right, if not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say no. All right, motion passes. Thank you, Todd, for that information. Moving on to number 4 is the consider the approval of the SRS rate.
Yeah, so the SRS rate simply stands for secondary residential service or supplemental residential service. It's a standard rate that's become a standard rate in the TVA system, basically. Its purpose is for a homeowner that has a garage with a second meter at the garage or an outbuilding that's not used for a commercial purpose. Right now, that second meter is on our commercial rate, and it's not really a commercial, it's just a garage. And so our commercial, the fixed charge on the commercial rate is $42. The SRS rate would be $29. The energy charge on the SRS rate would be the same as the energy charge for the residential rate. So there's no incentive for the customer to run something off of this meter instead of this meter at their house. The energy rate's going to be the same. Whereas the commercial rate is about a half a cent higher per kilowatt hour than our residential rate. So it's really just a rate that makes sense if you're a homeowner with a garage and a second meter. You're paying $25.54 for your home meter, and you're paying $42 for that second meter. This is dropping it. It's still going to be a little bit more because there's not the hydro credit and there's some other things, but basically the base customer charge is going to be very similar, and then kilowatt hour charge will be the same. So
it's dropping 29.16.
it's going from $42
Yeah.
down to $29.16.
Right.
Correct. Yeah.
So
That's the big advantage.
So that's a benefit for our customers.
Yeah,
Big one.
it's a benefit for the customers. It's really just an additional rate.
Yeah.
It's one that we haven't had on the books yet, and we're putting it on. And just to kind of emphasize again that it's not for a commercial purpose, or it's not for a customer that owns a rental property, that they're paying.
Has multiple meters.
Yeah. So that's still commercial, that type of a thing. But
How do you do, so will they call in, and how will you know just by the size of the,
So we've gone through and identified who we think they are. We're not going to switch them automatically, but we're going to notify them that we think they might be eligible for it. And so, but also, our customers will hopefully also know about it and contact us, but we're going to reach out.
So is this like an application process?
It really wouldn't be an application, I don't think. It would just be, if we determine that they're eligible, then we would just switch them to the rate. Yeah. Mhm.
Yes.
So what's the current customer charge for the second meter right now?
Right now, it's our commercial meter rate, which is $42 a month.
And it would reduce it to 29.
20 to 29, yeah. And the energy charge will be the same as the residential rate, but our existing commercial kilowatt hour charge is about a half a cent higher than our residential. So it's a dual benefit to the customer. The big benefit, though, is saving $13 a month on that second.
How many meters are we talking about this, do you think?
Maybe 100, maybe?
Yeah, I don't think there's even that many.
So less than 100?
Yeah. This is one of those housekeeping items that just makes sense, just because really a customer could serve, an outbuilding from their primary meter at their house, but this is just so that having that $42 charge instead of the the $25 charge it's just sort of the way it all evolved, and what few local power companies like us have started to move into having this SRS rate to accommodate this situation. So more of a housekeeping item than anything.
What's the seasonal, I don't understand the seasonal, like the summer period, you've got a winter period and then
I'll defer to Melanie on just the different, that's exactly how our residential rate is structured as well, but.
Yeah, so that's just per TVA's rates. They require those different seasons. So you have the summer season, which is June through September, and then the winter season is December through March. And then you have those, call them shoulder or transition periods. So basically, they're just trying to recoup because during those peak seasons, I guess you could call them, the prices, are normally a little bit higher, so they just reflect those in the retail rates as well.
And that's no different from what's already set up for the home.
Right, that's
Yeah.
the same for every rate class.
Yeah.
And those are the base rates. So what you're not seeing with that is the power cost adjustment that goes on top of those rates listed there,
To me, it makes sense. It's giving the customer a better price.
Yep.
And the revenue difference to us is minimal,
so it's really not benefiting us.
No. There'll be a slight revenue loss, but it's not going to be anything. So these are, this is our, right now, this is the commercial rate that they're on now, and this is what our residential rate looks like. So it'll be identical to this, except this is going to be $29.16 instead of $27. But the actual residential customer gets this minus the $1.60, so our customer charge is $25.54. But these are the rates with the fuel cost adjustment added in, so that's the actual rate the customer pays. So, any other questions? Okay.
I'm going to move that we table this item for right now. I'd like to think about this a little bit longer.
Why?
I've got some more questions on it that I guess I don't fully understand it. So I think I'd like to request that we table this item until the next meeting.
Okay.
I'd like to look over some of these other figures on this. Okay, we'll move on to number 5, which is the November and December regular meeting dates. The proposal to move the regular November meeting date to Tuesday, November 29th, which is the 5th Tuesday. And B is proposed to move the regular December meeting date to Tuesday, December the 20th, which is the 3rd Tuesday. Anybody got any questions on that, or any problems with that or anything?
So yeah, the regular November meeting would have been on the Tuesday right before Thanksgiving, and the regularly scheduled December meeting would have been on the 27th, which is, the Tuesday, 2 days after Christmas. So we're moving them just to a better time.
From the holidays.
Glenn, on back up on that thing where you just tabled it. I guess that was just part of the discussion. I considered your comment as part of the discussion. So it's an item on the agenda. Don't mean you got to take any action about it, but that's just Glenn's comments about the discussion. So I think you probably still need to see. You can make a motion to table it and vote on that, or you know, if nobody files a motion or makes a motion, then you could move on to the next item, but maybe cleaner if you want to file a motion or make a motion to table it and consider it at the next meeting and,
Okay.
you know.
So we'll temporarily go back to number 4 then, the consider approval of the SRS rate. At this time, I'll enter a motion to table this item until the next month's meeting for further discussion.
Yeah, you can make a motion if you want.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
I mean,
And at this point, I guess I'll ask for a second.
I'll second that.
Okay, have a motion by Pritchard and then a second by Witcher. And any discussion on that? Or if not, I guess we'll vote on it then. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Was that all 4? Okay. Anyone opposed, say no. Okay. Motion
That way it's
passes.
just cleaner that we took, you know, that it
Yeah.
was just set on the table
Yeah.
without everybody talking about it.
Right, okay. That's all right then? Okay, so we're back to number 5 again. We were proposing to change the dates on the November, December meeting. Is that probably going to be okay with everybody's schedule as far as we know? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's an issue. Let's see. It's just moving for the holidays.
Yeah, rearranging a little bit for the holidays. Okay, so at this time, I'll entertain a motion to move the November and December meeting dates as presented. Do I have a motion for that?
Still trying to think through in my head.
Okay,
I'll make a decision that my wife's going to be upset about.
all right.
Let me just check real quick.
Take your time.
Okay, I was backwards on November. Okay. I would be good with that.
Yeah, November,
Okay.
November meetings
So-
after the Thanksgiving holiday, yeah.
Yeah.
We're asking for a motion, open the floor, asking for a motion on, to move the November and December meeting dates as presented.
Make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Stevens. Do I have a second?
I'm second.
Second by Jones. All right, if any more discussion, if none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Number 6 is the superintendent's report. And Mr. Dave, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, the first one is, we have a tower on Loden Road, and we've entered an agreement with Southern Kentucky Communications to manage that tower and utilize it. So what the end result for the community is going to be better service for actually the EPB radio service that we use to communicate, but also a lot of the emergency services are going to be getting moved to that tower, is my understanding. And so just better radio communications within the city. So we were looking at repairs needed to the tower and a lot of other things, and we were having an internal conversation about what we were going to do with that tower. And so by leasing it to Southern Kentucky, it really takes it off of our plate as something for us to worry about. It's just not in our core business, and we didn't have a real strong need for it. So we're just going to lease it out. And that's the agreement that we signed with them is included in the packet. The next item is the September fuel cost adjustment. Finally, some good news on the fuel cost adjustment front. It dropped from 4.6 cents in August down to 3 cents in forecast for September. The actual forecasted rate for September is 3.064 cents. So that's, a very significant drop in the fuel cost adjustment, back to at least somewhat where you would expect it to be. We would like to see it down around 2 or 2.5 cents, but at least in that 3 cent range is where we've seen that before fairly often. So, or at least getting close to that number. So that's good news, and I think we are going to see that levelize and maintain at that lower level. So, and then the outage report. So this was a little bit better on the outage report for this month, although it's still, the total outages in July of 2022 were higher than the last 2 years, but 11 of those outages occurred on 2 different days. So it was, we had that wind, there was a windstorm that came through on July 27th that was, we're not really exactly sure what happened. It seemed like straight line winds that just broke a couple of poles. It was pretty strange, really. And they broke it. One pole was broken in 3 pieces. It was, and it was took us probably 5 hours to fix it. And then on July 20th, there was a number of outages as well. I don't remember the circumstances that day, but it was another Wednesday. 6 outages were because of animals, and 5 were unknown, which a lot of times means it's an animal or a tree that temporarily hits a circuit and causes it to blink, but doesn't actually, the tree doesn't break or anything like that, so we can't find it. So we're one of the things I've mentioned in the last meeting is we're approaching our tree trimming in more of a starting with the circuit and working it through to completion, kind of a cycle trimming type approach. Whereas before we were hitting the hot spots. Well, we said, okay, well, let's just take them and complete a circuit. And we're still going to pull crews off when we need to hit a hot spot or if there's a situation we need to take care of. But I think we'll see an improvement again in the outages. So just a lot of animals this year. There's a lot of varmint type outages that somewhere around March or April, it just all of a sudden we're seeing a crazy amount of outages that we hadn't seen. But this is also, the trees have that one more year of growth, and as they grew in, it just created paths for the animals and the trees themselves to cause outages. So.
Yeah. And have you guys started on that already? The trees? The
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. So that's it as far as the superintendent reports.
Okay, thank you for those reports. Moving on to number 7, any new or old business?
So nothing really new other than I'm going to ask Melanie, we're going to go through the new financial format of presenting condensed financial statements that we send the complete financial statements in the board packet. But in this meeting, I thought it would be a good idea to just go through. And so we're going to do that under new business this time. It'll be a regular agenda item in future meetings if this is the approach we want to take. So, yep. Can you pass out them to everybody? Yeah, I guess we all have them.
The condensed.
The
Yes,
condensed.
there's that last paper I gave you.
So programming committee, all that stuff, we'll wait till later on that? Or do I
that was-
accidentally have that in my...
Yeah, that's just for information because there was no action taken by the programming committee.
Okay.
So,
So it's just this.
Just that.
yeah, minutes from the meeting were in there, but there was no action
Okay.
taken. So.
So, like Dave said, you all usually get the large packet, which is several pages, that goes out to you monthly before the meetings. But our goal is to try to look at some of that information, what you all feel is important, in the board meeting. So you're still going to get that detailed information, but then we want to know what is important to you that you want to really highlight and look at while we're in here. So tonight we're just starting with this one sheet, which is a condensed version of the first page and some of the individual pages for the different services that you get. So you don't have the full packet for July. We're actually I tried to get it finished for tonight, but didn't make it. So you do have, though, this summarized version. And basically what it shows you is how the electric system, how it performed financially this month, and then just our broadband system. So the other thing that we're trying to do is start looking at cable and internet as broadband. That's really a separate service, but they're together. So you're still going to get the detailed information for now on each one, but in here, we're going to start talking about that as just the broadband side of the EPB. So what you're looking at is what happened in July of this year versus July of last year, and then where we are year to date. So of course in July, this is the first month of our fiscal year, it's going to be the same. And then what we have budgeted thus far year to date. And I don't know if I know you're just now looking at it, so I don't know if you have any questions just by glancing at these few numbers here. If you look at electric, we did end up with over $220,000 in net income this month. Last year, it was almost $140,000 negative. We did have a large severance payout last year, so that's the big difference in the 2 years, and that's reflected in operating expenses. And if you look at broadband, the big difference there is just operating revenue. And we're seeing slowly a drop in sub counts, especially for our cable customers. So of course that's reflected in our revenues. We do have customers that are going to internet-only products, so that does offset it. But as you see those cable subs dropping, that revenue would slowly go down. Other than that, there's not a big difference year over year in expenses and everything for the broadband services. So this is just something to start with. And what we would like you all to tell us is what else do you want to see? Do you like this format that's very basic, just to look at in here? Do you want to talk about kilowatt hour sales in here, actual sub counts? You know, just in your packet, is there something in here that you want to look at, or anything else that we haven't presented to you? That's what we want to know going forward.
Yeah, and those are conversations we can have on an ongoing basis on what, but this is like the starting point, at least present the financials and have a discussion about them, so.
Yeah, so this is a work in progress.
Yeah.
I do think having the more condensed version is a lot less busy.
Yes.
You know, to look at and be able to see, because that, you know, that net income, I mean, that's really what we're all trying to get to. And then of course, hopefully you guys are being able to know, you know, what what kind of got us there and what some of the details are that we may need to discuss.
Yeah, I like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Second.
A lot fewer numbers.
Yeah.
How is this year's, like in July of this year, July 22, how is the retirement accrual handled this year versus last?
So last year, there's about a $25,000 per month difference this year.
So it's not that significant, okay.
Right. Yeah,
And
so
that's
and that's in the operating expenses, so
Yeah.
that's another difference there.
Yeah. Yeah, we do an accrual each month for the retirement on top of the actual cost that we pay. So that's an item that's tough to get a handle on, but the approach that Melanie is saying that we're taking is to essentially do it the same as last year. At the end of the year, at the end of fiscal year 2022, we ended up over accruing it, so it was a kind of a significant positive adjustment to the year-end books made in June. But we don't know from one year to the next, so we lowered that accrual by $25,000 a month. So, you know, but next year they could say the amount you need to accrue is a lot more. So it's just it's a little bit of a guess, but at least we know that there's this accrual issue out there, so we're trying to at least account for it and not just have it be a complete surprise one way or the other at the end of the year. Anything else? Okay. Any other questions? Comments?
Did you have anything you were going on that new business, old business? Or?
I'm with
You're okay? Okay. Okay, if there's nothing else, final item, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
motion.
A motion to Witcher. Second by Jones. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed, say no. Meeting
Thanks,
is
guys.
adjourned.